The verdict of STAR's ambassador Maya Rodriguez felt the weight of 1,000 worlds pressing down on her shoulders as she entered the celestial assembly. The station hung suspended in the void between galaxies, a testament to the ancient power of the elder races who had built it millions of years ago. Its crystalline walls shifted with colors that human eyes could barely perceive, and the air itself seemed to hum with an energy that made her skin tingle. Maya had served as Earth's primary representative for 12 years, fighting tooth and nail for humanity's place among the stars. She had learned 17 alien languages, mastered the intricate dance of galactic politics, and sacrificed everything, including her family, back on Earth to be here. Now, as she walked through the grand archway into the central chamber, she knew that all her work might count for nothing. The assembly chamber was a perfect sphere, large enough to hold a small city. Floating platforms arranged in concentric circles held representatives from over 900 civilized worlds. At the center, on the highest platform, sat the Trinity of Elders, the Axiom, beings of pure thought who existed as shimmering geometric patterns, the Eternals who had transcended physical form and appeared as clouds of golden light, and the Architects, the oldest known race, whose bodies were living metal that constantly reshaped itself. Maya took her position on platform 847, one of the outermost rings reserved for the youngest races. She could feel thousands of alien eyes, sensors, and consciousness fragments focusing on her. The human delegation behind her shifted nervously. They all knew why they had been summoned. The eternal representative began to speak, its voice resonating directly in their minds rather than through sound. The assembly convenes to address the human question. For 43 solar cycles, we have observed your species with growing concern. You were granted provisional membership with the expectation that you would adapt to our ways. Instead, you have become a source of chaos. An axiom entity pulsed with mathematical precision as it presented the first charge. Humans consume resources at a rate unprecedented among member species. Your colonies strip mine asteroids, harvest gas giants, and terraform worlds without regard for the millennia-old preservation protocols. In 4 decades, you have consumed what other races use in 4 centuries. Maya stood to respond, her voice amplified by the chamber's systems. We consume resources because we create. Every world we touch becomes a garden. Every asteroid we mine becomes ships that explore further than any council race has gone in 10,000 years. We don't hoard. We build. The architect leader's form shifted into something resembling disapproval. You build weapons. Every human invention, no matter how peaceful its intent, becomes militarized within cycles. Your medical scanners become targeting systems. Your terraforming equipment becomes planet crackers. Even your children's toys incorporate combat training subroutines. Maya felt her jaw clench but kept her voice level. We live in a dangerous universe. Every race here achieved spaceflight by being the apex predator of their world. We simply choose not to pretend otherwise. Our weapons have never been turned against any council member. They exist to protect, not to conquer. A representative from the Crystalline Collective chimed in with harmonious tones. You interfere with natural selection. The Wanderer fleet was dying from a plague. The Council voted to let nature take its course, as we have done for eons. Humans violated the non-interference directive and saved them. 90 million souls that should have perished now live because of your meddling. The chamber erupted in discussion. Some races clicked in approval, others hummed in disagreement. Maya noticed that the newer races, those who had joined in the last few millennia, seemed sympathetic. But they were vastly outnumbered by the ancient powers who had ruled the galaxy since before Earth's sun was born. Maya raised her hand for silence. You call it meddling. We call it compassion. The Wanderer fleet had children aboard, families, poets and artists and dreamers. How can you claim to be civilized when you would watch them die and call it natural? Nature is what we rise above, not what we submit to. The Trinity of Elders conferred among themselves in ways beyond human perception. Probability waves collapsed and reformed. Timeline threads were examined and discarded. Finally, they reached their conclusion. The Eternal spoke again. Humanity refuses to accept the natural order that has maintained peace for millions of years. You are too young, too volatile, too unpredictable. We had hoped you would mature, would learn patience and acceptance. Instead, you spread your chaos wherever you go. The Axiom added its voice. You ask questions that should not be asked. You seek technologies that were banned before your world cooled. You form alliances with races we have deliberately isolated. You cannot be trusted with the power you seek. The architect delivered the final verdict by a vote of 712 to 188. Humanity is hereby exiled from the Galactic Council. You have 100 cycles to evacuate all colonies outside your home system. Your trade agreements are void. Your access to Council technology is revoked. Any human vessel found in Council space after the deadline will be destroyed. The chamber fell silent. Maya felt the dreams of her entire species crashing down around her, but she stood tall. She had one last card to play. Not to save humanity's membership, but to plant a seed of doubt in the minds of those watching. You think you're protecting the galaxy from us, she said, her voice carrying to every corner of the chamber, but you're really protecting yourselves from change. You've grown old, stagnant, afraid. You've mistaken stillness for peace, decay for stability. You've been dying so slowly that you've forgotten what it means to live. She looked directly at the trinity of elders. We accept your exile. But know this, humanity has existed for barely a heartbeat compared to you, and yet we've achieved things you haven't done in millions of years. We've made friends with races you fear. We've asked questions you're too frightened to consider. We've solved problems you've learned to live with. Maya turned to address the younger races, the ones who had shown sympathy. When you tire of asking permission to grow, when you hunger for something more than endless meditation on nothingness, when you remember what it was like to dream, you'll know where to find us. We'll be among the stars you've forgotten how to reach. She gestured to the human delegation and they began to file out of the chamber. As they reached the exit, Maya turned back one last time. You had the chance to guide us, to shape us, to join with us in making something greater than what exists. Instead, you chose fear. When the galaxy changes, and it will change, remember that you could have been part of that transformation. Instead, you'll be relics, gathering dust while the universe moves on without you. The humans left the Celestial Assembly for the last time. Behind them, the ancient races continued their deliberations, discussing matters of profound unimportance with infinite patience. They had no idea they had just made the greatest mistake in galactic history. The journey back to Earth took 3 months through Council-controlled hyperspace lanes. It would be the last time humans would use them. As their ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system, Maya looked at the blue marble that was humanity's home and felt a strange mix of sadness and excitement. Earth had already received word of the exile. Instead of despair, Maya found a planet energized with purpose. The recall order had gone out to all human colonies. Ships were already arriving, packed with colonists' equipment and, more importantly, knowledge. Every piece of Council technology was being studied, documented, and improved upon. President Chen met Maya at the spaceport in Geneva. "How bad is it?" he asked. Maya looked at the bustling activity around them. Engineers were already working on new ship designs. Scientists were poring over data crystals. Children were playing with toy spacecraft, dreaming of futures among stars they might never see. "It's the best thing that could have happened to us," she said. "We're finally free to be ourselves." The phoenix rising 20 years had passed since humanity's exile, and the solar system had become unrecognizable. Where once there had been empty space, now vast cities orbited every planet. Mars glowed with the lights of 1 billion souls. The moons of Jupiter had become industrial powerhouses. Even little Pluto had been transformed into humanity's watchtower, looking out into the darkness beyond. Dr. Chen Wei floated in his laboratory aboard Phoenix Station, the massive research facility that orbited between Earth and Mars. His team had just completed their 10,000th test of the new drive system, and the results were beyond their wildest dreams. "Sarah, run the calculations again," he said to his assistant. "These numbers can't be right." Dr. Sarah Okonkwo checked the data for the 5th time. "The numbers are correct, Chen. We're achieving speeds the Council said were theoretically impossible. Their fastest ships could cross the galaxy in a year. With our quantum wave drive, we can do it in 3 weeks." Chen felt his heart racing. The Council's technology had always seemed so advanced, so perfect. But once humans stopped trying to copy it and started trying to understand it, they realized something shocking. The aliens had stopped innovating millions of years ago. Their technology worked, so they never tried to make it better. Humans, on the other hand, were never satisfied with good enough. On the edge of the solar system, Captain Marcus Thompson stood on the bridge of the UES Prometheus, humanity's first truly independent starship. Every component was human-designed, human-built, and human-improved. The ship was smaller than Council vessels, but packed with capabilities they had never imagined. All stations report ready for the jump test, his first officer announced. Marcus nodded. Take us to Proxima Centauri. The ship vanished from Saturn's orbit and reappeared at humanity's nearest star in less than a second. The crew erupted in celebration. They had just broken every speed record the Council had ever set, using technology the aliens said was impossible. But the real surprise came when they started receiving signals. Weak, desperate transmissions in a language their computers didn't recognize. Captain, we're picking up distress calls from the third planet, the communications officer reported. It's not in any Council database. Marcus made a decision that would change everything. Take us in for a closer look. The planet they found was dying. Its sun was expanding, slowly cooking the world alive. The inhabitants, who called themselves the Zephyr, were a race of tall, graceful beings with wings they could no longer use in their thickening atmosphere. They had been sending distress signals for 100 years, but the Council had deemed them too primitive to save. The Zephyr leader, an elderly female named Skyweaver, could barely believe what she was seeing. You heard our calls? After so long, someone finally heard us? Marcus felt the weight of the moment. The Council would have let these people die. But humans didn't follow Council rules anymore. We heard you and we're here to help. How many of your people need evacuation? 3 billion souls, Skyweaver whispered. But we have nothing to offer in return. We are a simple people. We have no great technology, no vast resources. Marcus smiled. You have something more valuable. You have unique perspectives, different ways of thinking, dreams we've never dreamed. That's worth more than all the technology in the galaxy. The evacuation of the Zephyr took 6 months. Human ships arrived by the dozens, each one faster and more capable than the last. Engineers worked around the clock to build habitats that could accommodate the Zephyr's unique physiology. An entire moon was terraformed to match their dying world's original conditions. But the Zephyr weren't the only ones humanity found. As human ships pushed further into unexplored space, they discovered dozens of races the Council had abandoned. The mechanics, artificial intelligences that had achieved consciousness but were deemed unnatural. The singers, whose entire culture was based on sonic manipulation that the Council found disruptive. The dreamers, who could share consciousness but were feared for their mental abilities. Each race had been told they were unworthy, too different, too dangerous to join galactic civilization. Each had accepted their fate until the humans arrived with a different message. You're not broken. You're unique, and that uniqueness has value. Admiral Maya Rodriguez, promoted after her stand at the Council, now commanded humanity's combined fleet. She stood in the newly constructed Unity Station, looking at a gathering unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Representatives from 37 races, all rejected by the Council, had come together at humanity's invitation. The Council believes in order through stagnation, she addressed the assembly. They think peace comes from everyone thinking the same way, moving at the same speed, never questioning ancient wisdom. We offer something different: unity through diversity, strength through cooperation, progress through challenge. The response was overwhelming. The mechanics offered their computational abilities. The singers shared their understanding of harmonics that could revolutionize communications. The dreamers provided insights into consciousness that advanced human neural interface technology by centuries. Each race brought something unique, and together, they became more than the sum of their parts. They called it the Terran Commonwealth, though humans made up less than a third of its population. Within 5 years, it had grown to encompass 50 races and 1,000 worlds. Technology advanced at a rate that would have terrified the Council. Problems that had plagued species for millennia were solved in months through collaborative thinking. Dr. Chen Wei, now the Commonwealth's chief scientist, made the discovery that changed everything. By combining Zephyr atmospheric manipulation, mechanic computational modeling, and human quantum physics, they had cracked the code to something the Council had declared impossible: true instant communication across any distance. But the real shock came when Commonwealth scouts reported back from the galactic core. The Council was in trouble. A wave of dark matter distortion was spreading through their space, disrupting their technology and threatening their worlds. They had no solution because they had stopped looking for new answers eons ago. Admiral Rodriguez received the emergency transmission from the Celestial Assembly with grim satisfaction. The same beings who had exiled humanity were now begging for help. She convened the Commonwealth leadership to discuss their response. Some wanted to let the council face the consequences of their arrogance. Others argued for unconditional aid, but it was Skyweaver of the Zephyr who provided the answer. They let us suffer when we needed help. But if we do the same, we become them. We must be better. The Commonwealth fleet that arrived at the Celestial Assembly was unlike anything the Council had ever seen. Ships that defied their understanding of physics, technology that solved problems they thought unsolvable, and at the head of it all, the same humans they had cast out as too chaotic to trust. Maya stood once again in the assembly chamber, but this time, she was not alone. Beside her stood representatives of every race the Council had rejected, abandoned, or ignored. The platforms that had once held the galaxy's elite now seemed small and fragile compared to the unified force before them. The trinity of elders, for the first time in millions of years, seemed uncertain. The Eternal's voice wavered as it spoke. "You have returned despite our exile." Maya nodded. "We have. Not as members seeking approval, but as neighbors offering aid. The dark matter distortion can be stopped. We know how. The question is whether you're willing to accept help from those you deemed unworthy." The solution required everything the Council feared: change, innovation, cooperation with lesser races. It meant acknowledging that their way was not the only way, that their ancient wisdom had limits, that growth was not something to be feared but embraced. In the end, they had no choice. The Commonwealth's solution worked, saving trillions of lives, but the price was higher than any technology or resource. It cost the Council their illusion of superiority. As the crisis passed, the architect leader approached Maya. "We were wrong about humanity. About all of you. We let fear blind us to possibility." Maya looked at the ancient being with something approaching pity. "You weren't wrong about us being chaotic. You were wrong about chaos being bad. Creation is chaotic. Growth is chaotic. Life itself is chaotic. You tried to escape that truth by choosing stagnation. We embraced it and chose evolution. The Commonwealth offered the Council something unprecedented: membership in their alliance. Not as leaders, but as equals. Some Council races accepted immediately, hungry for the growth they had denied themselves. Others retreated further into isolation, clinging to their old ways. Standing on the observation deck of Unity Station, Maya watched as human and alien children played together in the zero-gravity playground. Zephyr younglings soared through the air while mechanic constructs raced alongside human kids. They were creating something new, something that had never existed in the galaxy's long history. President Chen, now leader of the Commonwealth, joined her at the window. "Any regrets about how things turned out?" Maya smiled. "The Council gave us the greatest gift possible. They forced us to become what we were meant to be. Not members of their static paradise, but architects of something dynamic and alive. They thought they were exiling us from the galaxy. Instead, they freed us to remake it. The galaxy would never be the same. The age of the elders was ending, and the age of the Commonwealth had begun. And at its heart were the humans, the race too young to know what was impossible, too stubborn to accept limitations, and too compassionate to abandon those in need. The Council had exiled humanity to protect their perfect order. Instead, humanity had built something better: a gloriously chaotic, wonderfully diverse, endlessly growing empire of equals. And they had done it not through conquest or domination, but through the most human trait of all: the simple belief that together, anything was possible.